Hey everyone, welcome back to the Incredible India podcast series. I'm Sam, and I'm joined by the other half of this deep dive, Taylor.
It's great to be back, Sam. We are lifting the veil today on one of India's least explored, but, arguably most magnificent historical regions,
Yeah.
the Deccan Triangle.
Yeah, we're diving into Bidar, Gulbarga, and Bijapur.
Exactly.
These three medieval cities in Karnataka, they're conspicuously absent from the
Yeah.
typical tourist maps, aren't they?
They really are.
And our deep dive into the sources reveals that's a massive oversight. I mean, we're talking about monuments, forts, mosques, tombs that genuinely rival the craftsmanship and scale of anything you'd find in Delhi or Agra.
Absolutely. Our mission today is to give you, the informed learner and the curious traveler, the absolute shortcut to understanding the why behind this triangle.
Right.
We need to figure out why these three specific points became, well, the strategic and cultural epicenter of power, first under the Bahmani Sultanate, mostly in Gulbarga and later Bidar, before that power fractured and shifted quite significantly to the mighty Adil Shahis down in Bijapur.
So we're tracking this sort of migration of power across the Deccan plateau. Okay. And before we jump into the geopolitics, maybe we should just establish the level of sophistication here.
Good idea.
Because we're talking about engineering achieved centuries ago that, astonishingly, still works today. Like Bidar's ancient aqueducts, those underground water systems, still functional.
Incredible, isn't it?
And Bijapur's Gol Gumbaz Dome. Now, that whispering gallery where apparently a soft conversation is audible right across this massive hall.
It really is. That's the caliber of history we're exploring. Real ingenuity.
Okay, so let's dig in. The strategic context first. Why this triangle? Why did it matter so much?
Okay, let's unpack this from a macro perspective. The prosperity of these cities wasn't just luck. It was purely geopolitical. They were positioned at these crucial crossroads of global commerce.
So they weren't just near the Silk Road, they kind of controlled the southern flow, is that right?
Precisely, yeah. Think of them as the toll booth operators of medieval India, essentially.
Okay.
They controlled the movement of high-value goods connecting those crucial Arabian seaports on the west coast.
Right.
With the diamond mines of Golconda further east and the spice wealth of Malabar down south. These southern branches of the Silk Road, they snaked right through the Deccan.
And the rulers just knew how to cash in on that.
They knew exactly how to monetize that flow.
Yeah. I guess I'm still trying to picture how just three cities could lock down such vast trade. Was there no significant coastal competition? What made their position so strong?
Well, it was that combination of geography and military leverage. The sources suggest these rulers effectively levied a pretty significant toll, maybe up to 15%, on all the really valuable stuff passing between the coast and the inland wealth centers.
15%. Wow.
Yeah, it made the Deccan rulers incredibly wealthy. I mean, sometimes richer than several minor European monarchies put together.
And that influx of wealth, that meant the rulers could afford to be patrons.
Right.
Bring in talent from all over.
Absolutely. And this wasn't just about trade goods. It was active cultural and technical exchange. You had Persian traders settling permanently in Bidar, bringing not just goods, but, architectural ideas. Arab merchants made Gulbarga their home, and Turkish military experts and craftsmen really enriched Bijapur. This infusion is exactly what gives their architecture that distinctive Indo-Islamic Persian flavor we see.
Okay, let's pause there just for a second. For our listener, when we say Indo-Islamic Persian fusion, what does that actually look like in the buildings? What are we talking about?
Good question. It means you're combining the massive scale, the really robust local stonework, and indigenous building techniques you find in the Deccan.
Okay.
With the geometric precision, the exquisite tile work, the calligraphy that was perfected in Persia and Central Asia. So you get local labor providing muscle, you could say, and the foreign talent providing that intricate design DNA.
Got it. And the military geography seems critical, too. What was the defensive genius there?
Well, geography basically handed them natural defenses, and smart rulers exploited those brilliantly. Bidar, for instance, it's perched right on a plateau edge. Gives you commanding views and natural steep fortifications. Gulbarga, it controlled that vital north-south corridor, a real choke point for any invading armies.
Right.
And Bijapur, it dominated the critical western approaches coming in from the Konkan coast.
And they backed that up with serious military engineering.
Oh, they had to. They built these concentric fortifications, like layers upon layers of defense.
Wow.
And underground tunnels to protect supply lines, withstand long sieges. The Adil Shahis of Bijapur, they really excelled at this military engineering. They developed advanced artillery positions and structures like the Deccan Mahal.
Deccan Mahal.
Yeah, it was designed to function simultaneously as this grand public palace and a fortress during conflict. Pretty clever.
That is clever. And it's also fascinating how the rivers played a role.
Mm-hmm.
The Krishna and Godavari, they weren't just transport routes.
No, they were also natural defensive barriers. They really shaped the political boundaries, and rulers learned to time their campaigns perfectly.
How so?
Well, they'd strike during the post-monsoon period. The fertile black cotton soil had produced its yield, so troops could be fed. And the rivers were still high enough to be defensive barriers, but maybe low enough in places to allow some movement.
Yeah.
It was this sophisticated game of power calculated against farming and climate cycles.
Incredible. Okay, let's journey to the first city then, Bidar. This seems like the height of the early Bahmani intellectual power. The Bidar fort complex itself is huge, 4.5 kilometers, built way back in 1427.
It really is immense, a testament to military planning, definitely with its triple-layered defense system, those 37 bastions. But, what really stands out inside is the sheer luxury, especially in the range in Mahal.
The colorful palace.
Right.
This is where that Persian influence just blows you away, isn't it? Dazzling mother-of-pearl inlay work shimmering on the walls, intricate Persian tile decorations.
It's stunning, and here's where we get back to those unexpected insights. The acoustic engineering.
Ah, yes, the Diwan-i-Am, the Hall of Public Audience.
Exactly. It was engineered so precisely, using structural geometry, that apparently a whisper near the throne could be heard clearly across the entire vast hall.
That's incredible. We're talking acoustics from, 600 years ago? Without computers?
Precisely. That's the real takeaway here. The sheer skill involved.
Truly sophisticated. And their practical engineering was just as advanced, keeping the city alive in that arid Deccan climate. Well, those extensive underground aqueducts, the Kharez systems.
Yeah, the Kharez life-saving ingenuity really kept the city supplied centuries before modern plumbing.
Wow.
But maybe Bidar's most intimate and sort of lasting cultural contribution is Bidruware.
Ah, the metalwork.
Yes, this unique 600-year-old tradition, famous globally.
That beautiful black metal inlaid with pure silver. It's gorgeous. What's the secret behind that really intense, distinctive black color?
Well, the secret actually lies in a special type of soil found only in the fort areas of Bidar. It's amazing.
Really? Just there?
Just there. Artisans carve these intricate designs onto a zinc and copper alloy piece. They hammer thin silver wire into the grooves, and then they apply this paste or mixture based on this unique black soil.
Okay.
When it's baked, it chemically turns the base metal that deep black, making the silver just pop brilliantly against the dark patina. It's a skill passed down, they say, for maybe 25 generations.
Incredible continuity. And Bidar wasn't just militarily strong and rich. It was an educational hub too, right? The Mahmud Gawan Madrasa from 1472.
Absolutely. This madrasa was, you could argue, the region's first great university. It attracted scholars from right across the Islamic world.
What did they teach?
Well, not just theology and philosophy, but also secular sciences like mathematics, astronomy, medicine, literature. It apparently rivaled institutions in Baghdad and Cairo at the time. Shows just how cosmopolitan Bidar was, especially when, many European cities were still relatively provincial.
So Bidar, administrative genius, amazing acoustics, the 600-year-old metal art. That's a huge legacy. Okay, so if Bidar was the administrative and intellectual engine, where was the spiritual heart? Let's move south to Gulbarga.
Right. Gulbarga holds that really deep historical connection, having been the very first capital of the Bahmani Sultanate. But yeah, its architectural legacy is maybe more defined by its spiritual feel, and you see that most clearly in the Jama Masjid.
The main mosque. And what's fascinating here, as you mentioned, is that it breaks from the usual design, right, built in 1367.
It really does. Most Indian mosques you see have that open central courtyard, the sun often exposed to the sky, but the Gulbarga Jama Masjid uses this distinctive closed-style construction, meaning the entire prayer hall, which is massive, spanning an impressive area with 75 arches, it's all under a solid roof, no open courtyard at all.
Huh. What effect does that have?
It creates this incredibly intimate, enclosed, almost echo-filled atmosphere inside, very different for reflection and prayer.
Interesting. And then you have the royal tombs nearby, the Afghanbaz complex, the seven tones.
Yes, the tombs of the earlier sultans. The tomb of Sultan Ahmed Shah Wali is probably the most architecturally significant there. It's noted for its double dome structure and these incredible blue and turquoise Persian glazed tile.
Ah, more Persian influence.
Definitely. A real riot of color that catches the light. It highlights the kingdom's early reliance on that imported Persian craftsmanship.
But Gulbarga's sort of enduring identity seems to be less about the stone and more about people and faith, centered on that shrine of Hazrat Banda Nawaz Giza-Daraz.
That's right. He was a hugely influential 14th century Sufi saint, and his shrine, the Dargah, is a major center of devotion that really transcends religious lines.
How so?
Well, the saint's teachings emphasize universal love, acceptance. So the shrine is a place of pilgrimage for people of all faiths, even today.
That's lovely.
And if you go, the real cultural experience to try and catch is the Qawwali sessions. They happen every Thursday evening.
The Sufi music.
Exactly. Devotees gather for hours for these mystical musical performances. The sources say the atmosphere is just electric, deeply spiritual, a unique window into the Deccani soul, really.
Sounds amazing. Okay, from the spiritual heart to sheer scale and power. Let's head west to Bijapur, the capital of the Adil Shahi dynasty. Home to structures so massive they just redefine scale, starting with the Gola Gumbas.
It is the ultimate expression of Adil Shahi power, no doubt. Built in 1659, and it features the world's second largest dome, unsupported by columns.
Second largest. After which one?
Only St. Peter's Basilica in Rome surpasses it in scale. But what's truly fascinating is how they achieved it.
Right, that massive span, 124 feet across inside with no internal pillars. How on earth did they do that?
Well, they used this incredibly complex system of intersecting arches, interlocking pendentives, basically forming a kind of weight-bearing scaffold within the massive cube structure itself.
Okay, so the support is built into the wall somehow.
Essentially, yes. This structural ingenuity allowed them to create that massive, clear span needed for the dome, and crucially, for the famous whispering gallery up inside.
Exactly, the acoustics again. Engineered so perfectly that even the softest whisper travels right across that huge space, creating an eightfold echo, apparently.
It's astonishing, that kind of conscious architectural design focused on the human sensory experience. It's just remarkable for the time.
But Bijapur's architectural peak, the one people say might have inspired the Taj Mahal. That's the Ibrahim Rasa, right?
That's the one, often called the crown of Bijapur.
And what makes it so special?
It's just the definition of perfect symmetrical composition. You have these twin buildings, the tomb of the Sultan Ibrahim Adil Shah II, and a mosque facing each other perfectly across a formal garden with identical minarets flanking them.
That balance.
Exactly. And the detail, the delicate stone latticework, the intricate calligraphy. It shows this absolute refinement. It moves beyond the sheer, almost brute scale of the Golgumbaz towards, well, absolute aesthetic perfection.
Beautiful. But beyond the grand tombs, the Adil Shahi rulers were also masters of survival, weren't they? Especially with water in the arid Deccan.
Oh, absolutely. They knew military supremacy depended on water security. So they developed these sophisticated water management systems, most notably the massive stepped wells, the bodies.
Like Chan Body.
Exactly. Chan Body is incredible. It descends 7 stories underground, provided water even during the harshest droughts. And these weren't just functional, they were architectural features, too, often quite beautiful, like the Taj Body as well.
Amazing ingenuity. And finally, we can't leave Bijapur without talking about their big guns, literally.
Right. You have to mention the Maliki Maidan, the Lord of the Battlefield. It's one of the world's largest medieval cannons. Cast back in 1549, it weighs over 55 tons and measures about 14 feet long.
55 tons? How do they even move it?
With immense difficulty. The accounts suggest it required something like 400 oxen, dozens of elephants, and hundreds of men just to haul it into position. Imagine the noise it made, the sheer terror that weapon must have instilled across the Deccan. The muzzle is even shaped like a lion's head crushing an elephant.
Wow. It really paints a picture, doesn't it? A dynasty focused equally on monumental beauty and, well, absolute destructive power. Okay, so for anyone listening whose curiosity has definitely been piqued by all this, let's wrap up with some practical takeaways. Planning a trip to this incredible triangle. First off, timing. When's the best time to go?
Optimal travel is definitively October to March. The temperatures are just perfect then, usually ranging from about 15 degrees to 28 degrees C. Pleasant for exploring.
And avoid.
You absolutely must avoid the intense heat of April to June. Temperatures soar, often above 40 degrees C, and walking around these massive forts just becomes unbearable.
Good tip. Okay, logistics. What's the most efficient route, say, for someone coming from outside the region?
I'd say use Hyderabad as your main base. It has great air and rail connectivity. Then the most efficient route is probably that linear path we talked about. Hyderabad northwest to Bidar, which is about 145 kilometers. Then south to Gulbarga, about 100 kilometers. And finally west onto Bijapur, another 165 kilometers or so.
And how long should you plan for?
Given the scale of these complexes, especially the forts and tombs, I'd strongly advise budgeting at least 2 full days per city. You need time to properly absorb the history and the sheer engineering involved. Don't rush it.
Right. What about the local experience? Accommodation, food?
Look for the diversity. In Bidar, you might find some lovely heritage properties or restored havelis for a traditional feel. In Gulbarga, maybe consider the spiritual guest houses near the shrine for that unique atmosphere. Bijapur has more standard, modern hotel options.
And the food?
Definitely dive into the Deccani cuisine. It's really unique. Think Bidar's spicy mutton curry and those distinctive jowar rotis made from sorghum. And you'll find Hyderabadi-influenced biryani variations in Gulbarga and Bijapur, too. It's delicious.
That sounds great. So after looking at their military genius, their control of trade, their stunning architecture, what's the core lesson here? What's the lasting takeaway from the Deccan Triangle?
I think the profound takeaway, for me anyway, is this. These 3 cities demonstrate that true, lasting power in the medieval world wasn't just about having the biggest army or the most gold. It wasn't that simple.
It was more complex.
It was an incredibly sophisticated, really intricate balance. A balance of military might, yes, but also control over global commerce via those strategic trade routes, and the brilliant strategic adaptation to the unique regional geography of the plateau, the soil, the rivers, the climate. So the lasting quote maybe isn't just how these amazing monuments managed to stand for 500, 600 years, but perhaps whether today's infrastructure, our global supply chains, our modern wealth centers, are actually built with that same sophisticated, integrated understanding of geology, geography, and fundamental human needs.
That is a fascinating thought to leave our listeners with. It really highlights this incredible historical treasure trove that offers, well, architectural fusion, immense historical depth, and definitely that feeling of uncovering forgotten secrets. If you decide to travel to Deccan, India, we have a recommendation. 5 Senses Tours organizes tours across India, which are immersive cultural experiences. You can email contact@5sensestours.com. Note 5 is written as a numeral in contact@5sensestours.com, or WhatsApp to +919 845 677446. Thank you so much for joining this deep dive into the incredible history of the Deccan Triangle. We'll see you next time.